Doing another analysis. I want to talk about essentially. I talked about last time back to middle. I want to talk about middle to front. I want to, I guess, emphasize a couple things. I really like how long his left arm is and how deep his left arm is. This is really good. Just for orbit purposes, keeping the discus as long as possible and setting really good angles in the middle of the throw. He's got his chest so deep in the middle that discus is really going to react to everything that he's bringing to the front. And by react, I mean there's going to be that natural stretch reflex there that's just set up by him being that deep in the middle. That's why it's so important, and that's why you can see, especially when he really hits that left arm block, you can see the disc is pulled slightly off orbit, and that's why it gets so deep. You can see the discus is below his hip while he's turning on the right leg and just before it releases. So it's actually if he's a shoulder height with his orbit going into the middle right here, it actually goes below shoulder height, as you'll be able to see in this video. See it when it's slowed down a little bit. You can see how the right arm actually comes below shoulder height before or as the left side blocks. You watch it. See, it comes slightly below, and the discus comes really close to his body. This is just the discus. You can tell that the discus is just reacting hardcore to everything. He's got a very patient right side, and he's hitting that block, and the discus is reacting. This is important. Just for speed of release and good stretch reflex, and he gets there by having a nice patient left arm in the middle, nice deep left arm, and he gets there by having his chest really deep. That's why that's so important. If you watch my other video, you can see how do I get there. You get there by having a nice long left sweeping right leg, and then a nice controlled left shoulder in the middle. Another important thing to note is that he comes back around on that deep orbit that he sets. This is just for angle of release, and it allows the discus to be as long as possible through the final phase. So if he were to, like I have this problem a lot, trying to fix it. If he were to hit deep in the middle and then he just blows out on that and goes forward instead of staying back on that angle, which he does, and of course he comes forward a little bit because he's got so much momentum and he's stopping it right there. But if he comes forward, then he's just going to cut off the orbit. So him staying back as the right foot turns underneath of him, back on that angle that he sets with his torso in the middle, him staying back on that does two things: allows for the discus to stay patient through the final phase, and allows it to react to everything that he's set up. I want to talk about the left foot as well. I really like how open his left foot is at the front. As you can see, it's essentially facing straight out into the sector. This is good because his left hip is about as open as it can be, and his entire left leg is about as open as it can be. So what you see is that there's a really strong reaction with the right hip, and the faster that right hip accelerates, the faster the discus is going to accelerate out of the back. So we really want to see, like a lot of times people land closed, and you're not going to get the best reaction out of the right hip. So if any, I always suggest open left foot. not a closed left foot. I don't. I think that makes it harder for the right hip to really slam into the front and to get everything really moving through the front. Because the discus is ultimately going to react to that right hip. So the faster that right hip can accelerate, and we get it to accelerate fast by essentially having it react to the stretch reflex. So if we open the left hip, then we're putting some stress on the right, where it's gonna come naturally. So the right knee is naturally going to turn in the middle, but if the left hip is open now instead of closed, so even if the left hip is closed, the right knee is going to turn, but it's not going to turn nearly as much, and in such a controlled manner if the left hip is closed. If the left hip is open, now you're setting that stretch reflex and allowing the right hip to really have something. It's got a reason to move now. You don't have to and it could be more involuntary, so you don't have to actively turn that right to the front. And of course, this for just general patience in the throw and general efficiency of movement is going to be much better if we can involuntarily do things. The more voluntary movements we have, ultimately, the more we're going to struggle to move in the circle. So that's what I want to talk about, middle to front. Very good.